Amen. Thanks to both the families. God bless. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, ma'am.
I would like to thank Kevin and the little child who read actually. They read very beautifully. Which class studying, ma? Kevin, what class?
Both.
And what about you, child? The other child. Which class?
Her name is Sandra. She's Kevin's cousin. Her name is Sandra. She's in third class.
Third and fourth.
Great.
Very nice. Very nice of you. Both of you read very beautifully. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sandra, beautiful. I forgot to say thanks to you. Very nice.
Thank
God
you,
bless.
ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Lovely baby. Okay,
You
the
say
Bible
thank you to me then.
keynotes.
Sandra, say thank you to sir. Thank you, sir. Say.
No, okay, ma'am.
Thank you.
Just play. Continue.
So, we've gracefully completed the first book of the Bible, the book of Genesis. We took 13 days. We've completed 50 chapters. So, we really thank God for His grace and love and mercy for being with all of us. The Bible keynotes for today, Genesis chapter 47. We see Joseph and the famine. Joseph presents his family before Pharaoh, and they receive the land of Goshen to settle in. As the famine intensifies, Joseph's astute administration saves Egypt and the surrounding nations from devastation. However, the Egyptians end up selling their land and themselves as slaves to Pharaoh in exchange for grain, centralizing power to Pharaoh. Despite the harsh conditions, Israel's family thrives. Nothing less for Israel's family. They are well-to-do. This reaffirms God's promise to make them a great nation. So here we see Joseph's actions aligned with God's providence. Today, we need to take a moment and find out, do our actions align with God's plan in our own lives? Genesis chapter 48. We see Jacob blesses Joseph's sons. Jacob earlier renamed the place where God met him at Bethel. We see this in Genesis 28:13. However, previously the name of that city was Luz. We see that in 48:3 of Genesis. He mentions here where he met God at Luz. The name Luz actually means separation. Now the name changed to Bethel. Bethel means what does Bethel mean?
House of God.
House of God. So Luz means separation. Bethel means house of God. Previously, Israel was separated from God until God brought Jacob back to his house. So later God himself says he is the God of Bethel. We see that in Genesis 31:13. So Jacob's transformation from sin and coming back to God. Jacob coming back from Luz to Bethel. The name changed from Luz to Bethel. We see the transformation of Israel over here. For us as a question now, where are we? Are we in Luz or are we in Bethel? With God or in the house of God? Also in this chapter we see Jacob's blessing Joseph's sons, Ephraim and Manasseh. Contrary to the custom, Jacob places his right hand on the younger son, Ephraim, and prophesying that he will be greater than his older brother, Manasseh. Despite Joseph's protest, Jacob insists on his blessing, emphasizing God's sovereignty in choosing the least likely. And also, they get double the inheritance. Joseph's sons get double the inheritance from Jacob. This is not based on any particular reason or any influence, but it's purely an act of grace. When you go deeper and find out, those days, Jews were not allowed to marry non-Jews. We see this in Deuteronomy 7:3. And here we see Ephraim and Manasseh's mother. She is not a Jew, but she is a daughter of an Egyptian priest. We see this in Genesis 46:20. Therefore, still God gave them the double inheritance. They didn't deserve it. Still, God blesses them. So when we take this to our lives, many a times we think, I have this, that, X, Y, Z, so many things because I deserve it, I'm too good, I'm talented. No. This reminds us we are given a lot of good things, even if we don't deserve it. It's purely by the love of God and the grace of God. So this chapter highlights the passing of spiritual legacy from Jacob to his grandchildren. Genesis 49. Jacob blesses each of his sons, offering both praise and pronouncements about their future. Some blessings are positive, like Judah being prophesied to hold the lineage of future rulers, including the Messiah. Others are more critical, such as Reuben losing his birthright due to past transgressions. The blessings of Joseph depict him as a fruitful and powerful tribe. The chapter concludes with Jacob expressing his desire to be buried in the land of Canaan alongside his ancestors. Genesis chapter 50, we heard about the death of Jacob and Joseph. The book of Genesis with the death of Jacob and his burial in the family tomb in Canaan. Following Jacob's death, Joseph reassures his brothers of his continued forgiveness. At the end of a long and prosperous life, Joseph also dies, making the Israelites promise to carry his bones back to Canaan, where God brings them back to their promised land. His death marks the end of the patriarchal period and sets the start for the next phase of Israel's history, which continues in the book of Exodus. So that ends the book of Genesis. The questions for today. Chapter 47, verse 13. What did Joseph do with all the money he had received for grain?
The famine was so severe that there was no food anywhere, and the people of Egypt and Canaan became weak with hunger. As they bought corn, Joseph had collected all the money and took it to the palace. And all the money in Egypt and Canaan was spent. The Egyptians came to Joseph and said, "Give us food. Don't let us die. Do something. Our money is all gone."
Okay. Genesis 47, 15 to 16. When the money was all gone, what did Joseph tell the people to do?
Joseph answered, "Bring your livestock. I will give you food in exchange for it.
Right.
Your money is all gone." So,
That's it.
Next question I'm coming. Genesis 47, 17. For what reason did the people bring their cattle to Joseph? Why did they bring their livestock to Joseph?
So they bought their livestock to Joseph and gave them food in exchange for their horses, sheep, goats, and cattle, and donkeys.
They exchanged, they gave the livestock and they got food in return. Genesis 47, 21. Where did Joseph place the people of Egypt?
Joseph made slaves of the people from one end of Egypt to the other.
Yes, he literally hired them. They worked there and they got food in return. Genesis 47, 22. Who took care of the priests of Egypt?
The only land he did not buy was the land that belonged to the priest. They did not have to sell their land because the king gave them allowance to live on.
Correct. Genesis 47, 24. What did Joseph tell the people to do with the seed he gave them?
At the time of harvest, you must give 1/5 to the king. You can use the rest for seed and for food for yourselves and for your families.
Right. Sandra can answer this question. Genesis 47, 26. What law did Joseph make in Egypt?
Joseph made it a law for the land of Egypt that 1/5 of the harvest should belong to the king.
Right.
This still remains in force, not today. Only the land of the they not become the king property?
Right. Genesis 48, 9 to 10. What did Israel do to Ephraim and Manasseh?
Joseph answered, "They are my sons. These are my sons who God has given me here in Egypt. Who God has given me here in Egypt." Jacob said, "Bring them to me so I may bless them."
Amen. He blessed them. So thank you all so much. God bless. Take care. Good night. Thank you, babies. Thanks to all the families.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Everyone.